So a big segment featuring Sami and Paul Heyman kicked off this week's SmackDown. This was a great week for the Bloodline story with some very interesting twists and turns. But we started off with Paul Heyman in the ring. Paul Heyman was saying that these belts represent everything to the island of relevancy. They really are the centerpiece for the island of relevancy. He was talking about how this is basically the plasma that runs through the veins of Roman Reigns. He says that without these championships, there is no Paul Heyman. There is no Roman Reigns. And he laid into Cody, actually, because Cody said that this wasn't personal, but it's now been made personal. And Paul Heyman basically called him an idiot, saying that it's always been personal because these championships are personal. As he was talking about this, Sami Zayn would appear behind him. Paul didn't see him at first. And basically, Sami was like, give me the microphone. And he said, listen, calm down. If I wanted to drop you, I could have done it already. But he was here to send a message. He said, a month ago, Solo, Jimmy, even myself, we would have been down here to save you. But where is everyone right now? You are here on your own. And you know why? It's because the bloodline is crumbling. It's falling apart. And in 8 days' time, I'm going to finish the job. He made it very, very clear that he's coming for those championships. But he also made it very, very clear that no one was there to help Paul Heyman in this moment of need. And as he sent that final message, he grabbed Paul, grabbed him in close. Paul's face was an absolute treat. That's going to be a meme everywhere. It was a fantastic moment. And I must admit, it did go through my head. Why is no one there? Why has no one come to Paul's aid? Thankfully, that would be answered, though. We would go backstage where we actually got Jimmy desperately trying to get a hold of Jey. He couldn't do it. Paul Heyman even said, where is everyone? Why did you not come to my aid? Jimmy had to point out, I'm trying to get my brother. We've got to defend the tag titles tonight. Like, I need to get hold of my brother. So that explains that. We didn't really get a satisfying explanation as to where Solo and Roman were. I thought that was a bit disappointing. Like, if they had got like some press kind of requirements, you know, they had to go and do interviews, or they had to be on a TV show, or there was something else they had to go and do. I think it would have been nice to have found out why, but we didn't. We might have got an answer on that at the end, though, and we'll come to that a little bit later. We get to the match anyway. Obviously, Jimmy comes down. They're defending the titles against Braun and Ricochet, and then through the crowds comes Jey Uso. Jey Uso wearing an Usos t-shirt. He made his way down to the ring. I did wonder if he was going to turn on his brother. I did wonder if he was going to cost Jimmy the tag belts, because it could be he's decided he's out. He doesn't want anything to do with the bloodline. He wants to go now as a solo star. He wants to go out on his own. And this could have been a way for him to have dropped the titles. Now, this was only for the SmackDown title, though. So even if he had cost them here, they still would be Raw tag team champions. So that definitely put a little seed of doubt into my mind that the story was going to go that way. But to be honest, I didn't know which way they were going to take the story. They could have gone one of many different ways. But the Usos retained, and then they spoke backstage about what next. Jimmy was like, what are you going to do? And Jey said, I don't know. Jey was very, very clear. He doesn't know. It's not like Jey is back with the bloodline. He's certainly there for his brother, and they're still the tag champs, but he doesn't know what's next. So that was a great moment, and made even better by the fact that Paul Heyman overheard it. Heyman then went up to Jimmy and said, was that your brother? I don't know why he didn't watch the show, but he was like, is that your brother? Did he say anything? And Jimmy said he didn't say anything. So Jimmy did not tell Paul the truth. He lied to him, or certainly kept the truth from him. We then later would see Jey and Sami, this was such a fantastic moment. We have not seen Jey and Sami since the Rumble, but we got Jey and Sami here. And Sami just said, like, you know, I just want to say a big thank you. I can't understand or begin to understand what you're going through, but you need to know that Roman is not going to forget what you did. And I just want to thank you for what you did at the Rumble. Like, he didn't join in on the beatdown. He walked away. He clearly sent a message he wasn't on board with what was happening. And Sami was like, look, in 8 days' time, this is all going to come down, crumbling down. You do not need to go down with this ship. Think about that. He said, I acknowledge you. And then there was this big moment where Sami put his fist out. He wanted a fist bump from Jey, and Jey did it. He gave him the fist bump. There's clearly a respect that's still there. There's clearly something there, a relationship of some degree that's there. And that is not going to please Roman, and it's not going to please Jimmy. It's not going to please Paul Heyman. But of course, this was all done away from them. We didn't know that anyone had seen this until we got to the very end of the show. This was brilliant. Jimmy was watching the end of SmackDown when Paul Heyman came in and said that Roman had been in touch, and basically he doesn't want the Usos around next week. He wants them to stay away because he wants them to watch the TV show. He wants them to watch it on TV because there are things that you can see when you watch it on TV that you might not pick up on when you're there in person, heavily implying that he had seen not only Jimmy not tell Paul the truth earlier, but that interaction between Jey and Sami. Now, the big talking point from our watch-along was that the Usos are not allowed in Canada, so they're not going to be on SmackDown next week, which I believe is in Canada, and they're not going to be at Elimination Chamber. So this is massive, because if they can't get involved, they can't interfere, what does the future hold for them? A lot of people, myself included, love the idea of Jey Uso costing Sami at Elimination Chamber. So Sami thinks he can trust Jey, but he can't, and he ends up attacking him, and he ends up like costing him the championship, the undisputed championship. I don't think we can do that. I don't know that either Usos are allowed inside Canada. So I don't know that it's going to go that way. So it's really all up in the air at the moment. Right now, I don't think the Usos are on SmackDown next week. I certainly don't think they're going to be at Elimination Chamber. Jimmy, definitely not. I don't know where we are with Jey. It could still be a surprise if he is allowed in, that we get Jey and he does a moment like that. But right now, I'm thinking they're just going to be out the story right now. And this might be part of the story we have to pick up on in a few weeks' time. But brilliant storytelling. Loads of great segments, even though they were just little backstage things. Oh, it was so compelling. Edge of the seat stuff. And honestly, really difficult to know where this is leading. I know a lot of people are going to say Sami and Kevin against the Usos at WrestleMania, and it absolutely could be that. But there's so many different directions you can take this story. Right now, they're heavily teasing Jey not being on board with the Bloodline. There's maybe a chance that he could persuade Jimmy to leave the Bloodline with him. Like, we could go that way. We could go Sami and Kevin against the Usos. We could go that way. But it does feel like maybe this part of the story is going to have to wait until after Elimination Chamber. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Big developments tonight on SmackDown. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And we'll have to wait and see as to what comes next.